I certainly didn't realize the hornet's nest that man stepped into, Keefe.
Holy smokes.
I can't imagine his timeline because T's and P's to our timelines were just angry Eagles fans.
Yep. Go Birds.
Hashtag go Birds.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Hashtag fly Eagles fly. You idiots, you morons. Don't you understand dead cap hits, things like this.
Oh, yeah, right.
So we've had quite a talking to in our mentions.
Sure did.
For the past 24 hours or so since Tommy Curran lit the fuse on that yesterday. So we got to be set straight, apparently.
Good.
And to be set straight, joining us from Sports Radio 94 WIP in Philadelphia, that would be Eliot Shorr-Parks. He is the Eagles beat reporter there. He is the podcast host of the Go Birds pod. And also, I'm being informed, the hashtag beat writer that we need. Eliot Shorr-Parks, thanks for joining us here on WEEI.
Thanks for having me on. I'm glad you guys learned the lesson I've learned over 10 years. Eagles fans, not to be trifled with. You got to be careful with what you say. I'm sure your mentions have been fun.
We apparently were not careful enough. Now, Keefe, I want you to ask the same question to Eliot that you asked to Tom Curran yesterday.
Well, Eliot, the dream here in New England is that Mike Vrabel is reunited with A.J. Brown. Is that dream dead?
Yes. I don't think – look, and I'll start by saying this in all seriousness. I've followed Tom Curran for a really long time, and I have a ton of respect for him. So I just, as someone that does cover the team and is here in Philadelphia, I just strongly, strongly disagree, and I certainly wouldn't characterize it as reasonable. I think that I guess the best comparison I would give is, like, is acquiring Drake May reasonable? Like, yeah, if a team calls and offers the Patriots 4 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks, of course, I think every player in the NFL, besides maybe Mahomes and Josh Allen, has a price tag. But the Eagles are not looking to trade A.J. Brown. They're certainly not shopping him around, and they want to keep A.J. Brown. The cap implications that it sounds like Eagles fans have tried to educate, you guys on are real.
Well,
if they trade sorry, go ahead, guys.
Well, I was just going to say, I would have the cap implications way down my list. What I would have at the top of the list is they just won the Super Bowl. Why would you want to upset the apple cart? The cap implications, honestly, I wouldn't get too lost in the weeds on that. But you mentioned three or four first round picks. What about the number 4 pick?
If the Patriots called and offered the Eagles the number 4 pick for A.J. Brown, would they talk about it internally? Maybe, but I don't think ultimately they would trade A.J. Brown for just the number 4 pick. So I agree with you that the cap implications are not the main reason they wouldn't trade A.J. Brown. But the reason I bring it up is because if it does happen before June 1st, the Eagles would lose over 50% of their cap space, which is a lot, especially when you have to pay your rookie class and all that. So if in a world where you guys want to keep dreaming it'll happen, I think you're looking after June 1st.
Yeah.
I know, trust me. I love a good internet rumor. I'm happy to talk about it. I don't think Patriots fans should be hoping or realistically I think T. Higgins would even be honestly more reasonable than A.J. Brown would be. I think Chris Godwin would be more reasonable than A.J. Brown would be. I think the price for acquiring A.J. Brown is going to be so high that I wouldn't consider it reasonable.
We saw A.J. Brown from the outside reading a lot of books on the sideline during the playoff run, and I'm curious, at this point, what is his relationship like with Nick Sirianni and with Jalen Hurts, who he's also maybe kind of questioned? I know there was a big talk in Philadelphia this year about those two guys getting along. One of their teammates sort of spoke out on your station, right, about what their relationship is like. Yeah,
so A.J. Brown has an awesome relationship with Nick Sirianni. And I do understand that with Mike Vrabel there, why it's easy to connect the dots because it sounds like he had a great relationship with Vrabel when they were in Tennessee. But I've talked to A.J. about his relationship with Nick, and they are super, super close. They have a great relationship. So there's nothing there that would lead you to believe they would trade A.J. Brown. The Jalen Hurts stuff, as you mentioned, Brandon Graham has brought up, they had some issues. A.J. talked about it about a few weeks ago on a podcast saying he would be lying if he said that, everything was always perfect with them. But if part of the dream of acquiring A.J. is the relationship with Jalen, I don't think that's realistic. Their relationship is definitely nowhere near bad enough where they would have to trade A.J. Brown.
Interesting. What if they didn't win the Super Bowl? An alternate universe, would the A.J. Brown discussion be more real? If they got knocked out even before the NFC title game against the Commanders. They're knocked out against who they play, the Rams, which was a relatively close game. What if they're knocked out there? Would A.J. Brown have been available?
I really don't think that changes it. And if anything, if we want to keep going down this hypothetical road, I think winning the Super Bowl would make it more realistic just because you've already won one at this point. Like if you didn't win it, then there's absolutely no reason to trade what is arguably the best player. But yeah, I mean, I don't think losing earlier or later when they did impact anything. Like they will not be trading A.J. Brown.
So, the Patriots dealt with this for years too, is you've got to make choices even after really successful seasons. Saquon Barkley gets a big raise in Philadelphia, but they got a bunch of free agents that may not be signed. So they're in a situation right now where they got to pick who they're keeping and who they're not. What are some of the toughest decisions that you think they're going to have to make?
Yeah, so they had a lot of players on one-year deals that had big years for them. Zach Bond did, Mekhi Becton did. And then they have Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, who are both up from their contracts. So those are the four big names they have to make decisions on. I would also add, if you want to talk about a player the Patriots could potentially acquire, I think Dallas Goedert is a name people are not looking at enough. Goedert is in the final year of his deal. He has no more guaranteed money, and he's 30. So they have to decide, I would say now, what they want to do with him. So they definitely have tough decisions to make. I expect Zach Bond to re-sign with the team. I think Mekhi Becton, there's a chance. I know he really wants to be back in Philadelphia, which obviously I think he could wait out a little bit and see what the market is for him. But Milton Williams, I've seen the Patriots connected to him. I think he would be an unbelievable signing for you guys. I can't speak highly enough of Milton Williams.
Okay, so
I think
I was just going to ask you about him and Josh Sweat. What kind of players would those guys be if the Patriots dabbled in free agency on Milton Williams, who they're linked to pretty significantly? I would say Josh Sweat less so. What kind of players would they be getting in those two?
So I think in free agency, you always overpay. That's just the nature of it. So is Milton Williams a $20 million a year player? Probably not right now. But if I was the Patriots, I would pay Milton Williams $20 million a year. He is an unbelievable pass rusher from the defensive tackle spot. He is, I think, somebody that checks the boxes you want in free agency. His best days are ahead of him. I think with Josh Sweat, I can't confidently say his best football is ahead of him. He's played a lot of football. I think he's 28 or 29. He had knee issues coming out of college. Like, I'd be weary about giving him big money. But if the Patriots, and you guys are, you're rebuilding and you're trying to build with this cap space, Milton Williams, I think, would be like an outrageously good signing for you guys.
How concerned are Eagles fans about the idea that the Tush push could get banned?
Well, it's certainly the topic of conversation nonstop. So, I mean, it's definitely something always being talked about. I'm in a bit of a minority where I don't think the tush push being banned would be a big deal. Now, it'd be completely unfair if it was banned. I mean, they invented the play. They execute it better than others.
Well, they stole it from rugby, but yeah. They stole it from a whole nother sport where they just shoved the quarterback.
Nate Ebner was doing that.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's wrong. But, they didn't steal it from rugby. But outside of that, like, I just don't think the push part of it is the big part of the play. People get so worked up with that. I've watched them run every single tush push. That play is executed well because of the offensive line and because of Jalen Hurts. The push is more, in my opinion, just like something that it catches their eye. When that play is successful, it is not the push that does it. And when the play is not successful, very rarely do they push him over the line. So I know there's an obsession with the play, but I think if they had to go back to quarterback sneaks, they would still be very good at it.
Okay. Well, there's a good chance they're going to be doing that if they outlaw the thing this year. We'll see if they can repeat, keep winning at the same level without the fabled tush push. He is Eliot Shorr-Parks. You can check out his work on Twitter at Eliot Shorr-Parks, 94 WIP Sports Radio in Philadelphia. Eliot, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Keep dreaming about AJ. It's fun to dream.
We absolutely will be doing that. Now, this is not a nice text.
What?
At 617-779-7937.
If the push wasn't that important, why would they push?
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to get
It's totally not a rugby play. Okay. It's all about the blocking, too. They lost Jason Kelce. I heard for years it was about Jason Kelce and his block. They lose Jason Kelce, same play. It's because they're shoving the guy. The blocking's actually irrelevant. It's because they're shoving the quarterback. They didn't even need Jason Kelce to do that. Stupidest, cheapest play in sports.
You think the Free Jacks could pick up a 4th and 1? I think they could.
Now, this is not a nice text.
What? Well, don't. Yeah, okay. What is it?
I don't want to amplify it, Keefe, but it's not. Philly is angry because they don't want to lose the one person who's read a book in the city. Now, that's not
AJ Brown.
Now, that's not a. It's not a nice thing.
No,
to
that is
about
not.
AJ Brown.
That's not fair.
That'd be the kind of
provincial
Boston sports, Philadelphia sports kind of thing we don't want to get into.
No,
it's
I
not
know.
very nice.
I know.